Hi friends, today I'll be discussing about the 2023 NEET biology question paper. The first question, which is from Botany. See, in this particular examination, so there was a section A and section B. Section B, 35 questions was mandatory, and section B, out of 15, any 10 could be answered. This was post-COVID, the examination pattern. Even in the zoology, it was the same pattern, but now at present in 2025, 2026, this has been removed. So it would be only 45 questions each. Anyway, this question paper is based on this section A and section B, both in botany and zoology. So the first question is, given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other is labeled as reason. So our assertion, the first stage of gametophyte in the life cycle of moss is protonema stage. Reason, protonema develops directly from spores produced in capsule. So these are the two options that have been given. Moss is Bryopsida, so you should be knowing about it. So assertion A and assertion B. So here the answer for this would be both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. You already know that gametophyte is the dominant generation, and even in case of mosses, the spores directly germinate to produce this primary protonema, secondary protonema, leafy stage is there, which you would have studied in your plant kingdom chapter. So both assertion and reason are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. The next question is, in angiosperm, the haploid and diploid structures of a fertilized embryo sac sequentially are. So which are haploid, diploid and triploid structure? So sequentially in the same pattern it should be. So haploid, synergids are haploid. They are not diploid there. So primary endosperm nucleus is diploid and zygote is diploid. So first option is not possible. Second option, antipodals are haploid, synergids are haploid, and primary endosperm nucleus, this is also not possible. Synergids, zygote and primary endosperm nucleus. So there is haploid, diploid and primary endosperm nucleus is triploid. So third one is the correct answer. So third option, synergids are haploid, zygote is diploid, primary endosperm nucleus is triploid. That is the correct option. Movement and accumulation of ions across a membrane against their concentration gradient can be explained by osmosis, passive transport, facilitated diffusion, active transport. Against their concentration can be explained by active transport. So there is an expenditure of energy and then there is a transfer of ions. So the answer for this would be active transport. So fourth option. Large colorful fragrant flowers with nectar are seen in insect pollinated plants, bat pollinated plants, bird pollinated plants, wind pollinated plants. It is insect pollinated plants. These are all rewards to attract the insect. So first option is correct for this question. So it is insect pollinated plants. The phenomenon of pleiotrophism. So one gene, many characters like starch granule, the size of the granule and the texture of the granule, both of them are determined by a single gene. So one gene having many phenotypic attributes. So pleiotropism, that is what it refers. So presence of several alleles of a single gene controlling a single crossover, that is wrong. A single gene affecting multiple phenotypic expression, this is correct. So third one is the correct option. Remaining are all wrong. Second one, presence of two alleles, each of the two genes controlling a single trait, that is also wrong. More than two genes affecting a single character, that is also wrong. So third one, a single gene affecting multiple phenotypic expression, that is the external appearance, is the correct answer. Which hormone promotes internode or petiole elongation in deep water rice? Here you should remember about ethylene. Don't go for the gibberellins. So ethylene helps in the internode or petiole elongation in deep water ice. So there is GA3, ethylene, kinetin, 2,4-D. The answer is ethylene. Among the evil quartet, which one is considered the most important cause driving extinction of species? Habitat loss and fragmentation, alien species invasion, overexploitation for economic gain, important cause driving extinction of species, so co-extinctions. So here mostly the answer is going to be the habitat loss and fragmentation, which is even presently happening even in Bangalore, where the forests are all being lost for urbanization process. So the biodiversity loss has also happened both in flora and fauna. So the correct one, habitat loss and fragmentation, is the correct one. Upon exposure to UV radiation, DNA stained with ethidium bromide will show what color? Bright red color, bright yellow color, bright blue color, bright orange color. Fourth option, bright orange color, is the correct answer. Which micronutrient is required for splitting of water molecule during photosynthesis, that is photolysis of water? Is it manganese, magnesium, molybdenum, or copper? So it is the first answer is manganese. So this is from photosynthesis. You can remember earlier they had mineral nutrition also as a topic. Even there they had mentioned it, but from chapter of photosynthesis you can remember it as manganese. Helps in photolysis of water. Axial placentation is observed in, so all the three examples should be correct. So mustard, cucumber, primrose, tomato, dianthus, and pea. China rose, beans, and lupin. China rose, petunia, and lemon. So the answer is China rose, petunia, and lemon. All three they exhibit that. Petunia belongs to Solanaceae. China rose is nothing but hibiscus. They exhibit axial placentation. Fourth option is correct. All three of them have the axial placentation. The process of appearance of recombinant nodules occur at which substage of prophase 1 in the meiosis? So appearance of recombination nodules. Prophase 1, which substage does it appear? They have leptotin, zygotin, pakitin, diplotin, and diakinesis. So leptotin, you find that there is elongation of the nodules. So the answer, zygotin, diplotin, pakitin, diakinesis, the correct answer is the pakitin. So pakitin stage is where there is a formation of recombination nodules. Then there is also crossing over and genetic recombination. So recombination nodules and crossing over of non-sister chromatids and the genetic recombination that happens in pakitin stage. Zygotin, it is synapses and synaptonemal complex. Diplotin is the terminalization of the formation of chiasmata, the dissolution of synaptonemal complex. Diakinesis is termination of the chiasmata that is taking place. So the correct answer here is pakitin. The reaction center in PS2 has an absorption maximum at, so PS2. So the photosystem 2, it will be having 680 nanometer. The correct answer is 680 nanometer. PS1 is 700 nanometer. Unequivocal proof that DNA is the genetic material was first proposed by Frederick Griffith, Avery MacLeod, and McCarthy, Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase, then Wilkins and Franklin. The answer is Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase. So their experiments, Hershey and Chase experiments, proved beyond doubt that DNA is the genetic material. Even though Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy, they discussed about the transformation process, even though it is an evidence for it. But here they have given it as unequivocal, foolproof evidence that DNA is the genetic material is proved by Hershey and Chase experiment. So the second option is correct. Among eukaryotes, replication of DNA takes place in M phase, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase. S phase is the correct answer, synthetic phase, where the DNA doubles up but the chromosome number remains the same. In tissue culture experiments, leaf mesophyll cells are put in a culture media to form callus. This phenomenon may be called as differentiation, development, de-differentiation, senescence. Leaf mesophyll cells are put in a culture media to form callus. So here they are going to form callus. This phenomenon may be called as differentiation, development, de-differentiation, senescence. The answer is de-differentiation. De-differentiation is a process of conversion of the permanent cells into meristematic cells. Callus is rapidly, it undergoes cell division, so de-differentiation. Cellulose does not form blue color with iodine because they do not have that loop. Cellulose is also made up of glucose, but structurally they are different. It is a disaccharide, it is a helical molecule, it does not contain complex helices and hence cannot hold iodine molecules. It breaks down when iodine reacts with it. Third one is the correct answer. It does not contain complex helices and hence cannot hold iodine molecules. Spraying of which of the following phytohormone on juvenile conifers helps in hastening the maturity period that leads to early seed production? So which is it? Indole tree butyric acid, zeatin, gibberellic acid, or abscisic acid? Answer is the gibberellic acid. Juvenile conifers, they help in increasing the maturity period and it also leads to early seed production. Gibberellic acid is the answer. Given below are two statements. The forces generated by transpiration can lift a xylem-sized column of water up to 130 meters height. Statement: transpiration cools leaf surfaces sometimes 10 to 15 degrees by evaporative cooling. Choose the most appropriate answer. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. Statement 1 and statement 2 are incorrect. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. So the answer is both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. So that is what you have to remember about. So both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. Family Fabaceae differs from Solanaceae and Liliaceae with respect to the stamens. Pick out the characteristic specifics to family Fabaceae but not found in Solanaceae or Liliaceae. So I would consider the diadelphous stamens, diadelphous and dithecous anthers, monoadelphous and monothecous anthers, polyadelphous and epipethalous, epiphyllous and dithecous anthers. So diadelphous and dithecous is the correct one. That is how they differ from Liliaceae and Solanaceae. Unique thing found in Fabaceae. Diadelphous 9+1 arrangement. 9 of the stamens are fused to form a single bundle and one stamen is free. So 9 within brackets plus 1. That arrangement you would have written it in floral formula. Express sequence tags refers to all genes that are expressed as RNA, all genes whether expressed or unexpressed, all genes that are expressed as proteins, certain important expressed gene. The answer for this is all genes that are expressed as RNA, we call it as express sequence tags. So first option is correct. Identify the correct statements. Detritivores perform fragmentation. The humus is further degraded by some microbes during mineralization. So I always remember the steps as fragmentation, first language chemistry, FLCHM. So fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification and mineralization. So water soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil and gets precipitated by a process called leaching. The detritus food chain begins with living organism. Earthworms break down detritus into smaller particles by a process called catabolism. So the correct answer for this is A, B, C only. So detritus perform fragmentation is correct. Humus is further degraded by some microbes during mineralization. That is also correct. Water soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil and they get precipitated by a process called leaching. This option is also correct. The detritus food chain begins with dead organisms, not living organisms. Earthworms break down detritus into smaller particles by a process called catabolism. That is wrong. It is not catabolism. So A, B, C are the correct answer. The thickness of ozone in a column of air in the atmosphere is measured in terms of Dobson unit. So the answer is Dobson units or DU. Given below are two statements. Latewood has fewer xylary elements with narrow vessels. Cambium is less active in winters. Uh, Latewood is the autumn wood. It has fewer xylary elements with narrow vessels. So assertion and reason here, both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. Both the statements are correct, and it is the reason for A. Which of the following stages of meiosis involves division of centromere? Is it metaphase 1, anaphase 2, and metaphase 2, telophase 2? Anaphase 2 involves the division of centromere longitudinally and separates the sister chromatids by the condensation of fibers. So third one is the correct answer, anaphase 2. The historic convention on biological diversity, the Earth Summit, was held in Rio de Janeiro in the year. This is more like a history question, but sometimes you should be aware about it. Anyway, the answer is 1992. There was the Rio de Janeiro Summit. This sort of questions are very rare, but you should be aware about it. How many ATP and NADPH2 are required for the synthesis of one molecule of glucose during Kelvin cycle? So it is going to be 18 ATP and 12 NADPH2 because they undergo 6 Kelvin cycle. For every Kelvin cycle, there is going to be only the 3 ATP and 2 NADPH2. So the answer is 18 ATP and 12 NADPH2. So the second option is correct, 18 ATP and 12 NADPH2. In the equation, gross primary productivity minus respiration equals net primary productivity. Here R is respiration or respiratory loss. So R is respiratory loss. Third one is the correct answer. During the purification process for recombinant DNA technology, addition of chilled ethanol precipitates out DNA. The answer is DNA. Second option is correct. Chilled ethanol, and it leads to precipitation of DNA, which is removed by spooling. What is the role of RNA polymerase 3 in the process of transcription in eukaryotes? Transcription of rRNAs 28S, 18S, and 5.8S. Transcription of precursor of mRNA. Transcription of tRNA, 5S RNA, and snRNA. Transcription of only snRNAs. So the answer is transcription of tRNA, 5S rRNA, and snRNA. The role of RNA polymerase 3 in the process of transcription, it is tRNA, 5S rRNA, and snRNA. What is the function of tassels in the corn cob? They to attract insects, to disperse pollen grains, to trap pollen grains, to protect seeds. The answer is to trap pollen grains. They have this tassels in the corn cob. Identify the pair of heterosporous pteridophytes among the following: Lycopodium and Selaginella, Xylotum and Salvinia, Selaginella and Salvinia. That is the correct answer, which exhibits heterosporous pteridophytes. Second option, Selaginella and Salvinia, is the correct answer. Yes, you can remember it as. In gene gun method used to introduce alien DNA into host cells, microparticles of dash metals are used. Copper, tungsten or gold. Third option is correct. Tungsten or gold. So the microparticles of these are bombarded with the cells, especially in plant cells. They use this, uh, uh, the gene gun method or biolistics method. Given below are two statements. Statement 1, endark, this is from plant anatomy. Endark and exarch are the terms often used for describing the position of secondary xylem in the uh, plant body. Exarch condition is the most common feature of the root system. Position of secondary xylem in the plant body, that is not the correct one. Statement 2 is correct, statement 1 is incorrect. So the answer is statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is true. Fourth one is the option. Frequency of recombination between gene pairs on same chromosome as a measure of the distance between genes to map their position of chromosome was used for the first time by uh, Thomas Hunt Morgan, Alfred Sturtevant, Sutton and Beverly Henking. The answer is Alfred Sturtevant. So the gene mapping, it is so Alfred Sturtevant. Given below are two statements. Assertion ATP is used at two steps in glycolysis. Utilization, yes, they are used for formation of fructose 6 phosphate and fructose 1,6 biphosphate. Reason, first in ATP is used in converting glucose to glucose 6 phosphate, and second ATP is used in conversion of both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation for A. First option is correct. Both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. Which one of the following statement is not correct? The microorganism, incorrect statement we have to identify. Microorganism involved in biodegradation of organic matter in a sewage polluter water body consume a lot of oxygen, causing the death of aquatic organism. Water, as the second one, algal blooms caused by excess of organic matter in water improve water quality and promote fisheries. Second one is incorrect statement. Water hyacinth or Iconia grows abundantly in eutrophic water bodies and leads to an imbalance in the ecosystem dynamics of the water body. That is correct. The amount of some toxic substance of industrial wastewater increases in the organism at successive trophic levels. That is biomagnification they are talking about. Second one, it is going to spoil the water. It does not improve the water quality. It rather spoils the decreases the water cavities and affects the fisheries. So incorrect statement is second one. How many different proteins does the ribosome consists of? So is it 80 or is it 40 or is it 60 or 20? So how many proteins does the ribosome consist of? The answer is 80 proteins. The ribosomes are made of 80 proteins. The answer is, how many different proteins does the ribosome consist of? 80 proteins are there. Which of the following statements are correct about Klinefelter syndrome? So correct statement we should find. This disorder was first described by Langdon Down, that is Down syndrome. This is wrong. First statement is wrong. Such an individual has overall masculine development, however the feminine development is also expressed. B is correct. The affected individual is short stature, that is wrong. Physical, psychomotor and mental development is retarded. B, D and E are correct statements. B and physical, psychomotor and mental development is retarded. Here mental development is retarded but not the others. So B and E, I feel the answer is B and E. Let us cross check. Yes, B and E only. They are sterile and they have overall masculine development with feminine development, so is also expressed. Here D, why it is incorrect is mental development is retarded but not the other. Physical, psychomotor development is not affected. So that is the reason D is an incorrect statement. So the B and D are the correct statement. Match the following. We have here oxidative decarboxylation. So the answers are they are covered up. Glycolysis. So oxidative decarboxylation, glycolysis, oxidative phosphorylation, tricarboxylic acid cycle. So we have to choose the correct one. So the oxidative decarboxylation that takes place before Krebs cycle. So citrate synthesis, you can include it in D1. Okay, so the fourth one, A is 2, B4, C3, D1. So sorry for the second list options not being seen. I think only citrate synthase is seen here. Anyway, given below are two statements. Assertion, so you find a lot of assertion reason question. A flower is defined as modified shoot, wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem or inflorescence meristem. A is correct. Internode of the shoot gets condensed to produce different floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. So both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation for A. So this is a description of formation of flower from a modified shoot and the condensation of your internode so that the leaves becomes the sepals, petals, stamens and the gynoecium. So both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. In gymnosperms, so again there's a assertion and reason question. The pollen grains are released from the microsporangium and carried by air currents. Yes, that is correct. Air currents carry the pollen grain to the mouth of archegonia where the male gametes are discharged and pollen tube is not formed. So here A is true but R is false. Let us see what is the statement. Yes, because they fall on the mouth of the ovule, and siphonogamy takes place even here. Okay, A is true but R is false. That is the third option. Match the list. So match the following: cohesion, light particles, especially more attractive in liquid phase. So A, then adhesion between non-molecule surface tension. Guttation is loss of water in the form of water droplets. Okay, so here the correct option is A2, then B4, surface tension, more attraction in liquid phase, C1, D3. So these are the options. Cohesion is force of attraction between like molecules. Adhesion, unlike molecules, force of attraction. Surface tension, more attraction in liquid phase. Guttation is loss of water in the form of water droplets. Which of the following combination is required for chemiosmosis? Four components are required. They require a membrane system, proton gradient, proton pump, ATP synthase. So they require membrane, proton pump, proton gradient, ATP synthase. So membrane, proton pump. So the first option is correct. In this option, the first one is correct. These are the four components which are required for chemiosmosis to occur: membrane system, proton pump, proton gradient, ATP synthase. Malonate inhibits the growth of pathogenic bacteria by inhibiting the activity of succinic dehydrogenase, lipase, amylase, dinitrogenase. Malonate inhibits the activity of which of them? The answer is succinic dehydrogenase. Identify the correct statement. Lenticels are the lens-shaped opening permitting the exchange of gases. That is correct. Bark formed early in the season is called hard bark. No, it is called as the early bark, or so bark formed early in the season. It is bark. We are not talking about the wood. Bark is a technical term that refers to all the tissues exterior to vascular cambium. Yes, correct. Bark refers to periderm and secondary phloem. So periderm is the phellum. Yes, that is also correct. So C, D is correct. Phelogen is single layered in thickness. That might not be the case. The correct answers seem to be, for me, A, D. Let me cross check. A and D only. Phelogen. Bark refers to periderm and secondary phloem. Bark is a technical term that refers to all tissues exterior to vascular cambium. So here only A and D are correct. Match the list. M phase, the cell division stage, mitotic phase. G2 phase, there is an what do you call it as? So G2 phase, there is synthesis of RNA and proteins and completion of it. Quiescent stage, they exit G0 phase and enter into a non-proliferative stage but mechanically active. G1 phase, RNA and proteins are synthesized. Okay, the correct answers are, so A4, B1, G2 phase proteins are synthesized. So those options are not there, but anyway, remember that again there is a mutualism. So mutualism is plus plus, species A plus plus. Commensalism, it would be plus 0. Amensalism minus 0. Parasitism plus minus. So that options would be there. So A4, B1, C2, D3, that covers the options. So B1 is nothing but commensalism plus 0. Amensalism is minus 0. So those properties it has to be given. Given below are two statements. Gauss competitive exclusion principle states that two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist indefinitely, and competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. That is correct. In general, carnivores are more adversely affected by competition than herbivores. Choose the correct answer. Statement 1 is correct. So here statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is false. So it's not the carnivores, but rather herbivores are more adversely affected by competition than carnivores. That should be the statement. So second statement is false. Match the list 1 with list 2. Iron, zinc, boron, molybdenum. This is mineral nutrition topic which you don't have for your study. So boron is required for the germination of pollen grains. Iron, so on that basis we can have an answer here. The correct answer is A3. A3. So B is 1, zinc synthesis of auxin. Boron is pollen grain germination. D2, molybdenum. So these are the options. Anyway, that since it is from the diluted chapter at present, need not worry much. Main steps in the formation of DNA are given below. Arrange the steps in correct sequence. Insertion of recombinant DNA. So we have to arrange this in the right sequence. So for formation of recombinant DNA, what are all? Isolation of desired DNA fragment, then cutting of DNA at specific location by restriction enzyme, then isolation of desired DNA fragment, amplification of cutting of DNA at amplification. So it looks like CDBA. CBDA. Let us see what is the correct option. So here BCDA and CBDA both are possible. This is because there is ambiguity in the answer. So B, cutting of DNA at specific location by restriction enzyme, that can be first step, or isolation of desired DNA fragment can also be the first stage. So these are what we call it as ambiguity. So both options are possible. So that completes our discussion on 20 NEET 2023 uh, part A, botany. Then in the next video we'll be discussing about the 2023 zoology part of it. So I hope that you have all understood this and it helps you in your upcoming NEET 2026 examination. Good luck to all of you and God bless you all. If you have liked this video, uh, like the video, share it with your friends, and also subscribe for the channel for more such videos. Put in a positive word about the uh, channel. So it is being done free of cost for you. So God bless you all. Bye.